Lecture 8. How to write a report and paper. A report is a presentation of facts and findings, usually as a basis for recommendations written for a specific readership and probably intended to be kept as a record. When some people write a report, that's all they do, write. But the really successful writers only spend part of their time doing this and then only toward to the end. Before that, they are planning their report, thinking about its purpose and who is going to read it, deciding what to put in and fitting it into shape. And even when they are finally writing it, they will probably spend just as much time thinking about how best to present their ideas as actually putting them onto paper. When you write a report, you have to make 6 stages: purpose, reader, materials, structure, style, presentation. In the past, in the lecture 7, we talk about defining the purpose, the reader, what does the reader know, what are the reader attitude, what does the reader really want. Also, we talk about setting the objective and what the main important points in setting the objective: knowledge, attitudes, and wants. Then we talk about selecting the materials and the 2 golden rules to follow when deciding what to put into a report. Simplify and justify your conclusion with facts. Planning the structure. The route has to be planned before you write your report. And there are rules and guidelines very important when we are writing a report or paper. The title page, summary, content list, introduction, body of the report, conclusion, recommendation, appendices, biography and or reference, glossary or nomenclature. In this lecture, we will talk about the style and presentation. Having dealt with the 4 essential stages in planning our report, we can now look at the 2 essential aspects of writing it. Style, this is how you write, how an individual writes so as to convey your thoughts to other people. But problems may arise, especially if you try to evaluate each word or sentence as you write it. That's silly, you say, or that won't work, and you end up by blocking the natural expression of your ideas. To overcome these problems, write the first draft to yourself, that just as it comes. Don't evaluate what you are writing. Simply break the spell of that blank white sheet of paper. Then edit your draft, reading it through the eyes of your reader. In particular, clear up any cliché and obvious ambiguities. The flooding was caused by for example, the flooding was caused by the liquidation of the contractors working on the sewage system. Substitute short, simple words where appropriate. Example, star for commencement and end for termination. Choose words familiar to your reader. Technical terms are a useful shorthand to use with fellow specialists. but simply cloud the issue for anyone else. Use active rather than passive verbs. Example, the board has approved this project. Rather than approval has been given by the board for the project. This is a continuous issue. Most scientific reports tend to be written using the passive form. Ask about the house type. If in doubt, follow these rules and your problems will diminish. In fact, choose the right words and you will find that they have a happy knack of arranging themselves. Presentation. You may need to use table, graphs, bar, charts or other diagrams. This is a subject in itself. So ask your local librarian for some helpful books. Also remember the old journalistic principle. Solid blocks of type weary the eye. Set your report out generously. Use wide margins. Space out paragraph and indent subheadings. It will make all the difference. Papers. Why write a good paper? Why write a good paper? Writing papers is an essential skill needed in international context. Working life demands this of you. How does one write a good paper? There are some instructions for writing a paper during your studies. You are supposed to write papers, essays and essays as a final paper. Although the extent of these papers varies, there are some common requirements for a good paper. To learn this requirement is rewarding because you will find them useful even after your studies, whether you will be writing a paper to your supervisor in a company or preparing your dissertation thesis as a postgraduate. One of the most characteristics of paper writing is that it seems to follow a fairly standard format. This is true of both longer monographs and shorter articles. Standardization is not limited to the format, it also applies to the language of writing. Standardization facilitates both the production and reception of writing. Basic requirements. Language. Good written English is nearly the same as good spoken English. You need to convey ideas effectively to make it easy for the reader to understand what you write. Writing process. There are 4 phases which provide a systematic approach to the writing process. Think, plan, write and revise. Think, plan, write and revise. The 4 phases is think, plan, write and revise while you are writing a process. Now we will talk about how to arrange a good paper. The arrangement of a good paper should include the following: title page, abstract, contents, list plus list of figures and list of tables, introduction, body text, research problems and methods, results, discussion, reference, appendix. Now we'll explain every point to arrange a good paper. The title page. The title should indicate the topic of the study. The title should indicate the scope of the study. For example, neither overstating nor understanding its significance. The title should be self-explanatory to readers in the chosen area. So the title should indicate the topic of the study, indicate the scope of the study, and be self-explained. Abstract. An abstract is written in English and its maximum length is 1 page. It is the summary of the contents of the paper. The purpose of the abstract is to state briefly and clearly the content of the paper, the main aims, method, result, and the most important conclusion. Content. The table of content page is titled Contents. The table of content includes heading, reference, and appendices. The headings are numbered and have possible subsection, as in the text. In the table of content, there is no full stop after the last digit. After the table of content, write a list of figures and a list of tables. Introduction. In the introduction, state briefly why the paper has been written. It's widely recognized that writing introduction is slow, troublesome, and difficult. This is normally the last part of the paper you write. The following phrases can be used in introduction when introducing the aim of the study. This is some phrases to help you to write an introduction. For example, the purpose of this study is to investigate the effects of. This project is designed to. This study is an attempt to examine the influence of. The primary purpose of this study is to determine. The objectives of this study are to. This study has two major purposes: to demonstrate whether or not. The major objective of this study is. So, to make a good presentation for the paper, there are a few steps to follow, like the title page, the abstract, the content, the body, the introduction. The body text, this part of the paper is very important because here you present your theory part and its connection to the empirical part. The literature to be studied should be essential to the research task. Different literature such as books, articles, and research reports can be used, as well as interviews. In the theory part, terms crucial to the study should be clarified and different views, research result, and remarkable research in the area should be introduced. So the body text is the very important part of the paper, and you have to show the different literature such as books, articles, and research reports can be used. You have to use this when you are writing the body text as well as interviews. Research problems and methods. Begin this section by describing the aim of the study and continue by stating the research problem. The methods section describes in various degrees of details the methodology, materials, and procedures. This part, the research problems contain many details like the methodology, the materials, and procedures, which should be described in such detail that another researcher would be able to repeat your procedure. your procedure. A possible structure for this section might be the following: aim of the study, research problem, methods of data collection, evaluation, validity and reliability. So this part should include the aim of the study, the research problem, method of data collection. It means how you collect the data and the information, evaluation, validity and reliability. The results. The results section is naturally very important, since it is there that the reader can read about your findings. Using figures and tables will help to clarify your findings. In the results section, the findings are described, accompanied by various amounts of commentary. The findings are usually commented on and discussed after each research problem. Comments are either based on the result, the reason for the finding is explained, or the findings are compared with the result of some other studies. Discussions. The discussion part is the most difficult section. Avoid summarizing your result. You may, however, mention them, at least the most important of them, or you can refer to the information relayed in such areas as in tables or figures. If you can provide the answer to your research problem, it facilitates discussion. Discussion should have a series of points are presented in the discussion section. Points to consolidate your research area, points to indicate the limitation of your study, and points to identify useful areas of further research. Again, the discussion should include this point: point to consolidate your research area, points to indicate the limitation of your study, points to identify useful areas of further research. A reference list. The sources pages is titled reference, and all the sources are listed in alphabetical order without subheadings. Publication by the same author are listed according to the publication date from the oldest to the newest. Consistency to the same setting and style is important. Appendices include the material needed for the paper, but which is unnecessary to include in the text itself. Example of calculation: print out graphs of different sizes, interview forms. The appendices must be referred to in the text, and they must have all the necessary information needed for interpretation. Appendices are situated at the end of the series and numbered consecutively. Now, we explain in lecture 7 and 8 the last part here of papers and how to write papers and reports. How to write chapter 4, how to write reports and papers. The stages, and we learn the stages of a report, which include the purpose, defining the purpose, instructional report, leading report. Number 2, the reader. What does the reader know? What are the reader's attitudes? What does the reader really want? Setting the object by knowledge, attitude and wants. Selecting the materials by 2 points: simplify and justify. Planning the structure, and there are rules and guidelines for planning a structure. Title page, summary, content list, introduction, body of the report, conclusion, recommendation, appendices, biography and reference, glossary or nomenclature. Style and presentation. Style and presentation, and there we have here basic requirements for the presentation, like the language, the writing process, arrangement. To arrange a good paper, you have to take care of some points like title page, abstract, contents, introduction, body text, research problems and methods, result, discussion, reference list, appendix. Thank you.